Welcome to Let Freedom Ring. As always, we got security here in the studio. We're keeping Soapy Pre-Up out. Again, we had a showdown at the wedding. It did get broken up by my brother Tim. Fortunately, I didn't get to get my hands on Soapy that night, but it is going to happen eventually. We just know it's coming. It's going to happen. So, but anyways, my guest making his third appearance on Let Freedom Ring, first time in studio, Nick Cappa. Nick, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. It's nice to be in the studio finally, not having to do this over Zoom to make sure I got, like a headset or all that nonsense. So it's nice. Nice to be face-to-face.
Because I know the first time we did an episode, this was at the height of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And we had internet issues.
Yeah, I think we had to do a three-part episode because it was that bad. So it's nice not having to worry about any of that. That's for sure.
Well, so we had you on the baseball episode a couple months back. How have you been since your last appearance?
Good, man. I got engaged, so...
Oh, yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Been doing a lot of wedding planning, getting ready to start a new job, so leaving the retail world after 10 years, so it's nice. But other than that, just hanging out, trying to, maneuver every day, one day at a time.
Is it nice, like, things have now kind of opened up more, but now like we're worried about things shutting down again?
Yeah, so I was just on a vacation. I was in Chicago 2 weeks ago, and the week after we left, they put in a mandate you have to wear a mask inside regardless if you're vaccinated or not.
Oh, wow.
So I felt like we got out, just in time. But it's crazy to come back to, New Hampshire, and it's, such a smaller scale. And so I don't feel that New Hampshire has changed at all, but I'm sure give it like a month or two, and who knows what's gonna happen. So
I gotta agree, like this is one of those times during like the pandemic's like, man,
right,
I am happy I live in New Hampshire.
Right. Me too.
We're spaced out a little bit.
Yeah.
Well,
and now at the end of September, you're gonna need your booster again. You could start getting your like a booster. So
yeah,
see how that goes. I don't know if that's supposed to help so we don't have to wear them. I don't know.
It's and this is what I've been saying a lot to people, because you got the people that don't want to get vaccinated. They're like, see, I was right. Well, you're not really right about anything.
Right.
They're figuring this out as we're going. It is crazy to see the stuff on Facebook doctors.
Oh yeah, no, there was a new one a couple of days ago. This home independent, doctor in Indiana went to like the school board and said he was a immune specialist and all like this and that, and the virus it just is going to be what it is, and the masks don't like work, and then when you follow up on them, you're like, this guy might be a little, who knows.
Yeah.
But again, if you want to wear one, you wear one. If you don't, you don't. If you want to get it, you get it. If you don't, that's on you. I mean, I really don't care. I used to be like, wear your mask and all that, because I worked in like retail, but this is just gone on now to the point where it's like, do what you got to do and don't
go from there.
Right.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that, and I mean, it is what it is. But for all the people, because we did have a guest the other week, and I'm not going to use his name, a friend of mine, but he's kind of gone on this crusade about, I've been right about everything.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you're not right about
I don't think anyone's right. Even if you're, like a doctor, I don't think anyone's, like right, because no one really, knows. And so I just want to be able to sit down and enjoy a packed NFL stadium on Sundays. And that's really all I care about, So do what you got to do, but
I couldn't agree more with that.
Don't hamper my NFL on Sundays.
I did get to go to Patriots practice, which was awesome.
That's nice. I went to Fenway last like a week, and they were playing the like a Tampa Bay, and it was so nice to just be back in that crowded atmosphere. Fear, and I didn't feel scared or anything like that because I am vaccinated. But again, regardless if I was or not, I don't think I would have felt scared, because you're outside, you're doing what you got to do, and at this point, it is what it is, man. Like I said, I don't really know what else to...
Yeah, what else can we say?
Yeah.
I totally agree. Like, I've always been not so nervous outside. Current events. This is kind of an interesting one. Are you a fan of Girl Scout cookies?
I love Girl Scout cookies. The Thin Mints are my all-time favorite. I do love the peanut butter ones or whatever they're called. Now they've changed over the years, but Thin Mints are my absolute go-to of Girl Scout cookies.
Thin Mints are great. I love Samoas.
Those too.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But in 2022, it's been years probably since they've released a new one.
I would say.
The Girl Scouts are coming out with Adventurefuls, which is going to be a brownie-inspired flavor with a combination of chocolate and caramel flavors. What do you think of this? Are they going to knock it out of the park, or?
I mean, I've never had an awful, like a Girl Scout, cookie, so I'm sure in addition to the money I already spend, I'll probably spend, more, and I'll probably at least, buy a box. But I feel like it's hard to go wrong when you do, like a brownie and, like a caramel. So I guess we're going to find out.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'll definitely try it. And I have a coworker that always is selling them. But I said one time to her, I go, so the Girl Scouts don't get all that much off of selling a box of those.
Where does it go?
They have like kind of this deal with this company. So I don't even know what it is that they make off a box. It's not the total cost going to the Girl Scouts. Yeah. I know that.
Well, and it's crazy because a box is like, $5 now, and so it's like, what do they get? Like $1, $2?
I could be. I think it's a quarter.
A quarter? Jeez, man.
And don't quote me on that if I'm wrong. Right there. When I was told how low it was, and it might be lower, maybe it was a little higher, but I was pretty shocked.
Yeah, that almost makes you not want to buy them because you always thought it was going to Girl Scouts of like America, but if it's not, then that.
It does, but it's just not the proportion I thought. And if I'm wrong, someone in the comments, please correct me. But I was told it was not very much that they were getting. One thing I've been talking about a lot is we're seeing we're going to talk. We've now left Afghanistan. It's not going great. Obviously, it's fallen back to the Taliban, but there's been a lot of people that, if Trump would have done that on one side, they would have been all about it. If there's other side that if Trump would have done it, they would have been against it, or whatever the president is. Do we have a problem with identity politics in the U.S.? Is that one guy could do one thing, it's going to make the other side mad, but if the other guy did it, it wouldn't make them mad.
I think the reason why we have identity politics and we have this issue of just a polar opposite is solely from like the mainstream like media and what they put out, and the lack of people saying you could be like right, but I'm gonna go do my own like information. Everybody they love Twitter, Facebook, the news, ESPN, like a PN, whatever it like is, when it comes out on TV or social media, like it's like, oh well, that's it, like that's what it's got to be. So I think if there was a little more independent digging, this might not be as big of an issue as it is, not get down, playing it, but and it's not just with Afghanistan. I think it it's COVID and things of it goes all the back to 9/11, and so little more independent research probably wouldn't hurt individuals, but it's just as soon as that they scroll or they see it on TV, it's like, man,
now
that's it.
I agree with that point. I haven't really thought for myself, but Don Lemon said it,
right?
Or Sean Hannity said it, or whoever. I do feel like we get to a point where we treat politicians like they're the Boston Red Sox, a sports team,
right?
And we root for them no matter what,
right?
That's not good for us.
That's not.
Do you think Joe Biden's doing a good job so far?
I think Joe Biden was dealt, and Donald Trump probably would have been dealt the same hand of. It's so predictable right now, and times are just so up in the air that I don't really think it would have mattered who was the like president. It would have been, oh well, he could have done like this, or he could have done like that. I don't get too much into politics because I'm just like the everyday common like man. So I do my research when it comes time like to vote and for other major issues. But other than that, I really try to keep my nose out of politics, just because it's hard. It's one of those things that it's hard to talk about without arguing, and
Yeah.
I feel like you don't need to argue. There's no need to argue.
A lot of emotions get involved.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I've been, I do the show, so I got to watch the news. But there's days where I'm like, I just can't even, I don't even want to know what's going on. I
Right.
don't want to hear anything more about COVID.
Right.
I'm tired of both sides of this,
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the exact same like way, and there's days where I just won't go on Facebook or Twitter or anything like that, and it's just because, man, I need like a day to just not be a part of it. So
Yeah. No, I agree. I totally agree. Well, that's going to get into fan questions here. We have one here. It came off Instagram from Leo Connors, former multiple-time guest of the show. Big part of how this show even came together because he's on Leo's show. But as a Chicago diehard sports fan, can you tell me your thoughts on the passing of Blackhawks legend Tony Esposito?
So obviously I grew up not ever seeing Tonio ever play a game on TV or in like a person, but I've watched highlights. I've talked to family who is older, and he made a big impact on not only the Blackhawks, but the community and the city of Chicago. He was a great ambassador. He was a man that even when he was done playing, he did a lot for that team, and he kind of in a way helped that team become the dynasty that they were for 6 years. And so like every great legend that played in your town, you're sad to see him go, but you're happy that what what he did to help your team and future generations. So
Yeah, definitely a legend. I mean, Leo's a huge hockey guy. Loves his hockey. Sports a little bit. I just want to bring something up. Have you played in adult slow pitch softball leagues?
I have. Yeah, I haven't played in the 2 years that I've lived in New Hampshire, but I played for 4 or 5 years when I lived in Wisconsin. So I have played, yes.
So we're having some. I just want to bring this up. Maybe get your insight.
Sure.
On it. We're having this ridiculous dispute in our Sunday league that's kind of gotten pretty small over the years. I think COVID hit it up a little bit, but we've had a lot of teams forfeiting. Now we have bylaws in the rules that if a team forfeits, they have to pay the umpires.
Sure.
Out of their own pocket.
Sure.
So the rules being called into play on one team. Now this team's also claiming that they didn't get the winning money from winning in 2019. So they're saying, well, basically, I don't know. They're saying that wasn't supposed to happen or something. So we're talking. So what's going to happen here? They're saying they're not going to pay. League's going to make them pay. But now other people are saying we're going to quit the league if they kick this team out. So we might not even have a league.
Yeah.
It's $120
to pay the umps per.
It was 2 games.
Okay.
What do you think? Should they pay the umpires to save the league and we all move on?
I mean, in a situation like that, is the league competitive? Is it
It used to
fun?
be more competitive.
Do
I have
people
fun.
enjoy playing in it?
Yeah.
I guess it comes down to, is $120 really worth jeopardizing a whole league? Now I know that's a lot of money, but how many people are on a team? 8 or 9?
Yeah, they have more than that.
Yeah.
They might have a roster of 15.
Yeah, so I mean, what is that, like $20 a person? I mean, and again, from an individual, are you really going to let $20, make or break a like a league? Now, it's one thing, I guess, if you didn't get like your payout. I'd be a little upset, but also at the same time, I wouldn't let a payout affect me, paying $20 to keep a league,
Keep it afloat.
right.
And I know that
I guess it might even come down to a let the league like rule go, and maybe just have every team say, hey, every team give
Well, I offered, and I was told by the captain of that team,
$20
it's not the point. He goes, it's not the money. I say, I could pay it right now. It's the principle. So we're here. We're going to see this whole thing maybe fold over $120.
And that's the sad part about it, because it's not like it's like $1,000. It's $120.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a tough call. I get it, but at the same time, what's $120?
Yeah. So hopefully this gets resolved. I tried to get because I'm going to potentially take over the league next year.
Yeah.
So I tried to get them to talk, and I was unsuccessful. So Max, please figure this out for the fate of the league.
Yeah.
For Nashville Sunday Co-Ed, figure it out. What is the state of the Chicago Bears right now?
Oh man, cautiously optimistic with a bright future if they don't screw up with Justin Fields. You know what I mean? The Bears.
That's
really,
what I wanted.
The Bears are going to live and die with how they treat like a Justin Fields. I read on Twitter every day that in like a practice he just keeps on slinging it, and he makes all these throws that he's being dabbed as the best quarterback to play for the Bears in the Bears history, and he hasn't even played in a regular season like a game yet. Now he played 2 quarters, 2.5 against the Dolphins last week, and it was like week 1 and like backups and all that, but he made a few mistakes, bounced back, threw a touchdown. He rushed for one more, no picks, and he said that the game felt slow. And again, it's week 1, so you're like, okay, well, you're playing against the Dolphins, like a
B squad.
Yeah, so I mean, what? But
maybe C squad.
The kid wants to do well. He's got that attitude. He's got that drive. He probably is the best quarterback the Bears have ever had in their organization. And again, he hasn't even played week 1 yet. So I'm optimistic, but again, the Bears are the Bears. I mean, we all thought that Mitch was the answer. I personally did not. I was so mad when the Bears took him, and I tried to get behind that, and they went 12-4 in his a rookie year, and we were all like, man, the Bears are back. And then they went 8-8, 8-8, and it just kind of was like, the Bears are back to being what the Bears always have been. So we'll see.
Wait, you guys have Andy Dalton. Who has Andy Dalton?
We do have Andy Dalton. And as of right now, Andy Dalton's supposed to start week 1. Twitter is so hot with, should it be, Fields? Should the Bears, not, start him till like week, 5, and let Andy Dalton, start, or should we not let him, start at all, and do the whole, Pat Mahomes, approach, which is what when they drafted Nagy and Pace were like, he's not going to play. He's going to, sit behind Andy Dalton. We're going to do this, the right way. What they didn't do with, Mitch. Now, Andy Dalton is certainly, capable of, going, 9-8, 9-7. I don't even know. But he's not going to get you to the, playoffs. Or if he does, it's not going to go to the, a Super Bowl. And, Justin, Fields probably would, get you the same, record. But if that kid is the, future of, the Bears, let him play. Let him sling it. Let him do what he's got to do. Because I saw it and interesting tweet where coming off of COVID, where the stadiums were empty. The Bears sold 60,000 tickets for week one because everybody wanted to see Justin Fields. How are you going to come off an empty stadium of all last year and tell Bears
here's Andy Dalton.
Right, you're gonna pay, and oh, by the way, here's Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
So,
no, I mean, I honestly, because this is gonna bring me another point. I want, and a lot of people know that I've supported Cam Newton through the whole thing. Mac Jones is gonna be the quarterback of that team, but do we want to throw Mac Jones right out there, or do we stick with Cam? He's Mac Jones is a young player. Do you think Cam Newton should be starting for the Patriots at the start?
For what he used, to be, I think Cam still has something left in the tank. I think he would have done a lot better last year had he not, come down with, COVID.
True.
He did. He came back and he just
wasn't the same guy.
Yeah, wasn't there. Now, the Pats are that organization, where if Mac Jones started, week, one, I wouldn't be scared because, again, Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
And, Josh Daniels, who is probably arguably one of the top 5 OCs in, the NFL.
Oh, I definitely agree with that.
And so, would I, maybe, losing some veteran lineman probably wasn't the a best idea, but again, Bill's not going to pay. You did overpay. Oh well, you didn't overpay, but you spent a lot on all this offensive talent. But it's not going to matter if Cam can't throw 10 yards. And the argument with Mac is that he had all these Alabama wide receivers. Well, Bill just went and got you 3 guys who are able to get open, much like Alabama is. So if you give him time in the pocket, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I'm rooting for him because I don't want to see Mac Jones get rushed.
Right.
Like, I'd like to see it take his time to get in.
But I also don't want it to come to, Cam is just, strolling along and, Bill's like, nope, can't do it. Like, yeah. I think that will anger, Pats, fans. And again, Bill's not a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
But I think it would be hard to watch the Pats if, he's going out there and just,
not reaching receivers.
Not doing it, yeah.
One last thing in sports I want to ask, because I saw this on Facebook, and I'm tired of them changing the game. Do you think there should be a mercy rule in baseball?
No, I don't. And I'm glad that they're going away from 7-inning doubleheaders after, this year.
Yeah.
I hate that. I hate the, runner on second and, extra innings. People complain that the pace of the game is too slow, but if you go to a baseball a game, yeah, it might go 3.5 hours. Isn't that
you don't care when you're there? Yeah.
But isn't that what the average NFL game is? Like 3 hours in, watching baseball on TV is a little slower, but the NFL on TV is commercials every minute and a half. So in terms of a pace of play, I think that argument is not
it's not valid. If I'm at a game, I want it to go as long as possible.
Exactly. Like I paid for all 9 innings. I'm gonna stay here all 9 innings. Like
I totally agree. I think the football comparison though. I think football, why it's so popular,
yeah,
it's 1 day a week.
That's true.
It's and it feels like an event every single week.
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah, that's true. You know, baseball's what?
Almost every night.
One's, 62, but that's what, so, but at the same time, you know, that's what summer's all about, man.
Yeah.
Just, going to the ballpark on a nice, hot afternoon, or, a nice, 7 o'clock when, the sun's, coming down, like, and there's no, football on, so what are you worried about? That's all that when when that's all you got. So
I totally agree, and I'll go to anything. Like, you got the Nashville Silver Knights in here, you got the Fisher Cats. To me, it doesn't always have to be Fenway Park.
Right.
Like, you're right. Summer night at the ball field, no matter what the ball field is nice.
Yeah.
Now we got SummerSlam, WWE SummerSlam this weekend.
Yeah, which is a Saturday night, by the way.
Saturday night, which I was surprised.
First time that a single night pay-per-view has been on a day other than a Saturday. I saw since 2004 with Taboo Tuesday.
Oh, Taboo Tuesday, yeah. And then became Cyber Sunday.
Cyber Sunday.
Yes. Well, the first SummerSlam I ever saw was 1991. It's how I became a wrestling fan. I was 6 years old. I think the first match on that card I saw was Bret the Hitman Hart versus Mr. Perfect. Go back and watch that match. It's absolutely unbelievable. And Mr. Perfect was hurt. He just wanted to get Bret Hart over. But then you also had the match made in hell with Hulk Hogan the Warrior versus Sergeant Slaughter, Colonel Mustafa, General Adnan. And that's when the Ultimate Warrior, the night he got fired, because he tried to hold up Vince for money. But that was the first SummerSlam I ever saw, first wrestling event I ever saw. So SummerSlam means a lot to me. Do you have a favorite SummerSlam moment?
I don't. As a kid in this, summertime, I was out and about. I think SummerSlam might have been the like a pay-per-view I skipped as a kid a lot, but I don't have one.
That's okay. We'll go through. You want to go through some predictions?
Sure.
All right. So for the Raw Women's Championship, we got Nikki Ash, or Nikki, the superhero
Nikki
gimmick
Cross,
that she's
whatever that gimmick is. Yeah.
I can't believe she's the champion. She's facing Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley. It's kind of been some boring segments on Raw.
Yeah, I haven't watched in a couple of weeks because I felt like I was watching like a paint dry. It was the same thing over and over. I really hope it's not Charlotte Flair for this the sake of
She's had it a lot.
I'm tired of it. You know what I mean? Rhea Ripley is cool. She's new. She's that like a badass. Like a female. Nikki, whatever, this is, it's fun, it's cool, it's a breath of, a fresh air, but in terms of, for the next, 3 months, Rhea, Ripley should probably, bring us into the fall.
So you're going with Rhea Ripley.
I'm going with Rhea Ripley, yeah.
All right. I'm going to go with, I think Nikki, she just got the belt.
And I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
As long as it's not, Flair. Because I feel like Flair is going to AEW sometime here soon.
Well, with Andrade, her fiance there,
right,
now rumors of Ric Flair's going to be there.
Yeah, I mean, she might be on the way out.
Could recreate her career a little bit because it has gone stale.
Yeah.
It's tough to maintain
years and years.
Somehow
market.
Randy Orton pulls it off, and I still want to see Randy Orton, but it is hard to maintain. We got the Usos versus father and son team. The Usos are the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. They're going against Rey Mysterio and his son Dominic. Who you got?
The kid in me wants to see Rey and Dominic hold that father son title, even if it's for 2-3 months. In terms of programming, it's probably going to be the Usos, but I would love to see Rey Mysterio and his kid come around and
they did have I'm going to go Usos too. Mysterio's already had the titles too.
Yeah.
They did have them. I think that was pretty cool.
Did they ever win at a pay-per-view though, or did they win?
They won him off the
SmackDown?
Usos on Raw, on SmackDown.
On
Sorry,
SmackDown, yeah.
and then dropped them back, Or no, maybe the Mysterios beat somebody else. It's pretty cool because you've seen Dominic because he was on TV when he was a kid.
Yeah, and that whole Eddie Guerrero.
I'm your Poppy storyline. Yeah. But I have to say he has no charisma.
No, he's kind of boring.
Yeah,
he's kind of boring.
Should have given him a mask or something.
Yeah, I thought they were going to.
Yeah, I had heard all kinds of it was going to be like Romeo Mysterio or something. Yeah. Next match is for the SmackDown Women's title, but it might be canceled. I don't know what's going on with that. Got Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks. Sasha dropped it at WrestleMania to Bianca.
It's kind of the same thing with the Charlotte Flair. I'm kind of tired of Sasha Banks. She's a great performer, but I feel like she was a diva in the era of non-competitive divas. So I felt like she just had the title because there was nobody else worth. There was her, Bailey, and Charlotte Flair. Other than that, there was what Natalia here and
she had never got
they don't get the
respect she deserves.
Like a push. Bianca is she's fun, she's flashy. I'm gonna go with her, but I think that's gonna be a good match if it does not get canceled.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with that, but I would go. I love Sasha Banks still. I love Sasha Banks as a heel, and she's back to being a heel.
Yeah.
But I would say Bianca is going to retain. Here's one that I'm really looking forward to. Dream match. Probably never thought it was going to happen. Then Edge got cleared. The Radar Superstar Edge versus the Messiah, Seth Rollins.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited for that one, and I really don't know how that's going to go. I suppose it depends on the angle that WWE wants to play with that. Do they want to let the veteran have one more go at SummerSlam, or do they want to push Seth? I'm gonna go with Edge only because I don't think this is it, and I think Edge is gonna have his a retirement match, but I don't think that this is it.
Yeah, I'm going to go Edge too. I don't think it would really even hurt Seth Rollins in any way.
No, I don't think so.
And Edge just came off a loss from Roman Reigns, and then he'd be losing to two heels back to back. We got two real life friends, former two members of 3MB, if you remember, three-man band, baby.
Heath Slater and Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, so we got Jinder Mahal versus Drew McIntyre, which I'm really excited for this.
I'm excited because it's finally not Drew versus Bobby Lashley.
Yeah.
To be honest with you,
match over
I was
and
so
over.
tired of Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre. It just was like, what are we doing here? It's like
deja vu.
Yeah, it was awful. Part of me wants to say Drew McIntyre because he's been a staple. He really did carry WWE through the pandemic, so I feel like he should be rewarded because they took the belt off of him. But Jinder's back on what his third stint now with WWE. His fourth stint.
I think it's his second, but he's been hurt.
Okay.
So he was off television for a long time.
So a breath of fresh air. It's gonna be nice to to see this match with fans in the crowd.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. I'll say Jinder, but again, I wouldn't be mad with whoever wins.
I wouldn't doubt that. I wouldn't doubt Drew goes over. But Jinder's been dominated on TV by him every single time.
Yeah.
He's beat up his two cronies.
His little henchmen or whatever.
So I'm wondering, is the payoff that Jinder's gonna beat him at least the first time? Now we got Alexa Bliss, who, as you know, the Fiend has been.
Yeah, what's up with that?
He was released. She's kind of copied off his gimmick. I don't know what they're doing with Alexa Bliss. And then for some weird reason, they said, "Hey, Eva Marie, we'd like you to come back."
Yeah, and they throw right into the fire of this, weird, unorthodox, crazy, whatever you want to call it, that Alexa Bliss is, doing.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Who wanted Eva Marie back?
I'm not mad about it, but the way they're just like, okay, you're back. Here's Alexa Bliss and her and
then
crazy
she's
whatever.
with Dewdrop.
Yeah.
It's like, I just sit there. Hey, we're bringing Eva Marie. What?
Yeah.
No, literally, the NXT crowd turned their back on her match, refused to even watch it.
Yeah.
She never got over.
Yeah.
She's never drawn any money. Why?
Because the Raw, divas are thin, like thin right now. I suppose.
And guess what? I'm going with Eva Marie. I think they're going to put her over Alexa Bliss.
It's either going to be Eva Marie or it's going to be like Alexa's going to win in like a minute and like a half. It's going to be like the Fiend, but in a female-esque of just dominance. So I guess we're gonna see.
Now, it's just weird. It's like, all right, we released him. You're gonna still run with the gimmick that only had to do with you being part of Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, I don't know why he was released at a time where AEW was just scooping up all this great talent, and
it's the best. It's the best. If you want to, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna call it an AEW mark for it. If you want to watch a good wrestling show on a Wednesday night or Friday night, you're putting on AEW because it is more entertaining. Raw is so freaking boring.
It is.
How many times are I going to see the same match?
Right.
Now it's kind of the point. It's like we're not just going to do the same match. We're going to have Damian. Now we're going to do Damian Priest and John Morrison are going to wrestle. Oh, and then Ricochet is going to come out, and Sheamus is going to come out,
and The Miz is going to be in that little scooter, thingy.
And now it's a tag
around.
match,
right?
And I'm seeing Damian Priest pin John Morrison twice,
right?
I'm like, it's horrible.
Yeah, and SmackDown is a little bit better, but not by much. I mean,
without Roman Reigns, that show doesn't have much.
No, it doesn't.
And it's going to get to the next match for the U.S. title. Sheamus versus, and I'm just going to say it straight up, Damian Priest is so freaking boring.
Yeah.
I liked Damian Priest.
I liked him when he first, came on, and I thought, man, this kid's going to be the breath of, like a fresh air that, like Monday Night Raw, needs. And he had the whole, like a bad, like a bunny and all that, like a crap, which I thought was awful, to be honest with you. I thought it was awful. And after that, it just hasn't gotten any better. But I also, because, Sheamus has, been around for so, long as well, I really don't know who to cheer for, nor really care who wins, that match, because they're both awful, in my opinion.
I'm going to go Damian Priest because it feels like they're building him.
Yeah.
Just going to get one that I'm excited about. You got AJ Styles and Omos versus Matt Riddle, Randy Orton. Matt Riddle really doing the I love Randy Orton so much angle.
Yeah, I really love Rated RK Bro.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that this angle probably wasn't Randy's first idea, but he's kind of ran with it and done his part, and it's exciting. It's two polar opposites that they're finding a way to make a team. So, and AJ and Omos are kind of also, in my opinion, they're boring, because Omos, they just have him crush opponents.
He's just big,
and that's it. It's like tag him in, 2-3, minutes, match is over, and it's like, I guess, but
so I'm gonna go with Orton and Riddle.
Yeah, that's what I would go with.
Just because I think AJ is gonna go back into the singles picture.
Omos will just
either Omos fades away or he turns on him.
Yeah.
Now we got a big one, because if John Cena wins this match, John Cena becomes the all-time champion. He'll have 17 title reigns, beating Ric Flair. He is part-time, or I guess, he's been on the show weekly, but he's going to be facing the head of the table, the tribal chief, Roman Reigns, who's had the title now for a full year.
Yeah.
So, who you got?
My pick was...
Throwing on the John Cena. My
pick was Roman until Flair got released and went to AEW, Now I feel like it's gonna be Cena, so that way they're no longer tied, and he takes that all-time, because Cena's been loyal to the WWE ever since he came on in 2002. Obviously he's gone like a part time to do other stuff, but he never was like I'm gonna go to AEW or what like whatever else was out there.
And he could make them a lot of money.
He could,
Yeah.
but he comes back because I think he loves the WWE universe. So now I'm like, I hope it's Cena, but in terms of the like a vision of like the like a company, it might have to be Roman. I don't really know.
So I'm going to go with SummerSlam. I'm going to go, you can't see me. John Cena is going to get number 17. He will drop it not too long after, though.
I would agree with that. I could see that. And like again, all he has to do is hold it for 20 like a couple 4 hours, and then he's in like the record book. So,
and I gotta say, like, everybody was so happy. John Cena's got a lot of flack over the years because he really appealed to teenagers and kids and women, and the 18 to 37 crowd hated him.
Yeah.
But now he's back, and everybody's loving it.
Yeah.
There literally was like, if John, the signs you say, if John Cena shows up, we riot, or if John Cena wins, we riot. Now it says, if John Cena shows up, we're gonna be happy. So
it's fun, and it gets funny. Right before the pandemic shut everything down, I went to SmackDown at the
this mask is really hard to wear, by the way.
I went to SmackDown
this is at Five Below, so
like a garden, and Cena showed up, and the whole like a garden
goes nuts.
Just erupted.
He's more appreciated now that he's not full time, and I think a lot of people are like, wow, John Cena was really entertaining.
He was.
Now here's the big controversy here. We got Goldberg, who's like 54 and a half.
Which, by the way,
he'll be the oldest champion if he wins.
I am so tired of Bill Goldberg, so I hope Bobby Lashley just destroys him and we're done with Bill Goldberg. I don't care. I don't enjoy him. When he was on Raw in 2003 in his like heyday, I was like, cool.
Still huge.
I was like, cool. The angles that they had him, do, awesome, because his personality fit the way that the company, was in the early 2000s. The, company has evolved, and he's a guy that didn't evolve with the company. So, thank you for all that he, did. Just be done, please.
So be done. Okay, so going with Lashley. I have to say, though, WWE does, they rely on part-timers too much for these big pay-per-views.
That's the other problem.
But I, in a weird way, want to see Goldberg win.
Yeah.
He will legitimately be the oldest champion of all time.
Yeah. How old was Flair the last time he won the title?
I think it was like 51. Vince McMahon, when he won the title, was 54. But like, Goldberg's an older 54, so he'd be the oldest. But I think it's going to be Bobby Lashley. But the only thing is, if they use Goldberg 2 times a year, if Goldberg's already lost to McIntyre this year, if he loses to Bobby Lashley, can you keep bringing him back? He's already lost to The Undertaker.
Who else is there left to lose, to?
Yeah, like...
Edge?
Maybe?
Cena? I mean,
yeah.
Who else is there left to lose to?
They should have just brought him back to do what he did in 2019. Come in and squash somebody.
Right.
I mean, Dolph Ziggler took one of the best spears I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He made Goldberg look like Superman.
Right.
I
do remember that.
Quickly, do you have a top 5 Batman villains?
I don't have 5. I've got a couple. Obviously, Joker, all time. That, rivalry is awesome. Mr. Penguin, I think it is.
Yeah, Penguin.
And Bane, And I think those are the only three I never watched the Batman, comics or, like read them all. I only watched the, movies. So I guess, also, like a Harvey Dent from, Dark Knight. But that's really all I got on that.
Who's your favorite Joker that played it?
Probably Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
Because of just the mental aspect he had to put. Now, obviously, that, led to other, things and eventually his, death. But just the way he was able to, go to that place to perfect that, Joker, I think, hands, down the best.
Yeah, he was absolutely unbelievable. You have top 5 sports movies?
Yeah, so coming in number 5, we got Field of Dreams.
Yes.
Which, just had the, like a baseball game. Third best, game I've ever, seen in my, entire, life. Then we got at 4, we got Remember the, Titans, and it's a sports, like a movie, but it also is that, like a coming to, together. 3 is eight Men Out.
Oh, yes.
I love 8 Men Out. Not a lot of people know about 8 Men Out, but I do enjoy it. Number 2 would probably have to be the greatest game ever played. Again, not many, people, know about it, but I do enjoy it. And then number 1 has to be, a Miracle.
Oh, really? Okay.
I can watch, that movie time and time, again, and it gives me chills. It's a really great story, and it was at a time when the country was at shambles, and this group of college kids were just like, screw it, let's go win a gold medal, right?
Yeah. No, I like those. I especially like Remember the Titans.
I love Remember the Titans.
Do you have top 5 rappers of all time?
Eminem, Snoop Dogg, Tupac, Biggie Smalls, and Dr. Dre.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that 90s.
Yeah, I mean, hip hop today is like, it's bad.
It's crazy because I don't understand it.
Right.
Or I listen to it and I'm like, man, this 90s would have just blown all these kids out of like the water.
It's so bad. Like, what are you talking about? I remember when I worked in the Strive House in Lowell. A lot of the kids they were residents. They were like 17 to 21. They were like doing their time. They're going back to the community. They'd just been in jail or prison or whatever. And some of the music in there was so bad. And finally I said, guys, you have no idea what music was like before this. This is garbage. Right. And I would tell them stories about like 90s hip hop. Right. This white kid from New Hampshire, who, Right. So let's get into blank versus blank. Give you 2 things. You got to pick one and tell us why. First one, I don't know if you're into horror movies too much, but we just done a Friday the 13th movie ranking, mm-hmm. and but mine's always been Halloween's been my favorite. Mm-hmm. We got them both on the table here. We got Jason and Michael Myers. Who wins in a showdown?
I'll be honest with you. I've never seen a Friday the 13th in my entire life. 26,
okay,
years, and I've only heard about Freddy versus Jason, and, Michael Myers and all that. So I guess Michael Myers.
All right.
But I couldn't tell you. I've never watched any of a Friday the 13th.
I mean, they do get horrible after a while. That's why we ranked them. We did talk about on the show with it was that it depended on what Jason you're talking about, because when Jason becomes a zombie, like with all these superpowers, I don't think Michael Myers can beat that. But I think head to head, Jason's still just regular Jason, going Michael all day. Kevin Nash, or we got Kane on the table today, or Kane?
I got to go with the big red monster. Kane was one of my favorite, characters, growing up. He was really that. Now, it was a little harder to watch unmasked, Kane, because some of the stuff they made him, do was kind of like, oh God, that's hard to stomach.
There was some weird stuff.
It was hard to stomach, but overall, the way he was able to play this big, evil giant for 20, years. I think hands, down. I love.
And he's lucky he found that gimmick because he was the fake Diesel.
And then the dentist, right?
And he was, Isaac Yankem.
Isaac Yankem.
If Kane didn't work out,
he was done.
That was it.
Yeah, he was done.
So who would you rather have pitching, Nolan Ryan or Randy Johnson?
Oh man, probably Nolan Ryan, and that's not easy, but probably Nolan Ryan.
All right. Bobby Lashley or Roman Reigns, the two current champions in WWE.
In terms of who
would you rather watch?
Who would I rather watch? Probably Bobby Lashley. Roman Reigns kind of like a jackass.
Yeah.
I know that's his like a
shtick.
Yeah, but Bobby's okay with losing. Roman hasn't lost a match in over like a year, and I'm pretty sure that's got something to do with he doesn't want to be like a pin. So just that idea of, hey, I don't want to be like a pin, so I'm not gonna put anybody over. It's all about like me, kind of like a jackass, which some people enjoy, but it gets old after like a while. At least to me.
Now the two challengers for SummerSlam: Goldberg or John Cena.
John Cena. I grew up. I was a you can't see me. I had like the like wristbands. We would in my like buddies like a back yard. We would do all the imitations, and we like put his like a music on. We would all just so me, John, Cena, hands down. I love Cena. I always have. I always will.
So at my brother's wedding, we came out to John Cena's theme, like me, my brother Bobby, my brother Tim, my nephew, my sister-in-law, and my niece. And I just came out and was like, going up to people and just, and it got over. Hopefully there's a recording of this, because all I heard was like, they're like, man, Dan, you're meant for coming out to theme music. Mm-hmm. So that's my favorite part of being in a wedding.
Yeah, that was my like kryptonite. I loved John,
Yeah. Jim McMahon or Jay Cutler?
Smoking Jay, baby.
Yeah.
Jim McMahon is actually kind of. It's not that good. I mean.
Yeah.
And neither was like a Jay, but I like to describe Jay as the poor man's Brett Favre. He did it his way. He didn't care how small that like a window was, and we went from Rex to Kyle Orton, and the Bears were awful with Kyle Orton. Kyle Orton and the Bears, and then it was Caleb Haney, and it was awful. And then the Bears all of a sudden traded for Jay Cutler, and I don't blame Jay for how the Bears were with him, because he brought him to the playoffs twice. I blame the Bears for not giving him more.
Fair enough.
He had like a Marshall, Martellus, like Bennett. He had like Matt, like a Forte, but the Bears' offensive line was so horrible that Jay couldn't do anything, and so I blame the Bears. I don't blame like Jay. And I know we gotta hop off here, but he's in the news like right now in like Tennessee. He got dropped by Uber Eats because he campaigned that like children in the state of Tennessee should not be required to wear a mask. It should be up to their like parents.
And that was it?
Yeah, that was it. But Uber dropped him as like a sponsor. Like people came at him on Twitter. Other people were like, he should run for school board, like a president, all that crap. So
it goes right back into the politics of it.
But smoking Jay all day.
A final one in blank versus blank, but this is gonna be blank versus blank versus blank. But you can only keep one. Other three go away. Chicago Bulls, Chicago Cubs, Chicago Bears, Chicago Blackhawks. You can only have one.
The Chicago Cubs.
Oh. All right.
So growing up, my grandfather, I think I was 5 years old, and I'd never been to a Chicago sporting event my entire life. He took me to like Wrigley. We walked up those steps. I saw the ivy, the scoreboard, and I fell in like love. And I love the Bears. I don't really care about like the Hawks. The Bulls are cool, but I have poured in so much sweat and tears and heartache and joy for the Chicago Cubs that it hasn't like been easy. But if I had to pick one, and that's all I could ever like be like a fan of, be the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, I'm like you. We're baseball guys. Even though football has become so big. But Nick, I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. Everybody out there, continue to keep your heads up. If you're asked to wear a mask, wear a mask. Stop arguing about the vaccination. It's getting played out. But everybody, except for Soapy Pre-Op, have a wonderful week. And until next time, let freedom ring.